Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me Swastika, and in this fun video I actually thought that I would recommend three movies that every science student should in fact watch. A lot of us get bored of studying day in day out at home, and we all require a change, and films and cinematic productions and movies are a great way to learn. So guys, before we begin, I request you to please press the subscribe button in case you haven't already. That's the red button at the bottom of the screen. You guys can subscribe. You can ask your friends to subscribe. In case you are old and returning subscribers, you can go to my Poshmark, and if you like the outfits that I wear, you can buy some of those. You can consider that a small remuneration you're paying to your favorite YouTuber, since we spend a lot of time on YouTube. So yeah. So guys, I'll tell you about the three movies that basically helped me learn a lot of political concepts, that helped me understand political science better, and I'll also be highlighting the concepts that these movies made very clear in the mind of, at least in my mind when I was a student. So the first movie in that list is going to be Modern Times. This was a movie in which Charlie Chaplin was starring, and it was produced in 1936. So it's pretty much a classic. It's a very classic movie, but it's very nice because it very nicely depicts Karl Marx's theory of alienation. So a lot of students who are in humanities and political science background know that Karl Marx is a very important thinker, that you have to read his philosophy, that you have to understand his philosophy, and without doing any of those things, you will be missing out on a lot. So yes, so Marx's theory of alienation gets very nicely depicted in the movie, which is called Modern Times. It's essentially a movie about a little tramp and the life of the tramp, and you see that, even that the tramp does not even get 1 minute free from his work, and it very nicely exposes the accumulation of capital. It very nicely exposes how labor is exploited under a capitalistic regime, and it's a pretty nice movie. You should watch it. It shows how the laborer feels alienated from himself, he feels alienated from his work, he feels alienated from his friends, his fellow workers, and he feels alienated from himself, his creative soul, and he realizes that all his creativity is just going to shambles, and he is nothing more than a machine who's producing more machines, and his life is a very mechanistic, mechanical process under the exploitative regime of capitalism. So it's a very nice movie. You guys should watch it. It's a classic, and that's the first recommendation that I would give you. In fact, I wrote a paper on this movie when I was doing my master's, so it's a pretty important movie from a political science perspective. The second movie I would recommend is actually a more recent one. It's called Parasite, and it was produced in 2019 by the director Bong Joon-ho. It's, of course, a Korean drama, and it has already won 4 Oscars. So it's a very widely acclaimed movie. It's very famous. It's very popular. It's also something. It's a movie which which basically exposes the class divide very nicely. So guys, the class divide basically means the division on the basis of class, on the basis of economic remuneration, on the basis of money. So if somebody is richer than you, and if somebody is, let's say, the son of a billionaire or is a billionaire, his life is going to be very different compared to yours, who, if you're just taking tuitions, or if you're just doing something that's like a 9 to 5, or if you're a worker in a in a company. So this movie was basically in 2019. It came out in 2019. It came out with a big bang. It won the Oscars, and one of the very nice scenes in this movie was when the class divide was depicted so nicely, so fluidly, so smoothly, that you could actually the people who were very rich, they could tell that you were from a middle class or you were from a poor background on the basis of how you smelled. So this stench that they called it, or this smell, which distinguished between the rich and the poor, is something which has been elaborated in this movie, and it's very true. It depicts the class divide very nicely. So as you guys know, social sciences and studying humanities and studying political science, we talk about these divisions all the time. We talk about divisions on the basis of class, we talk about divisions on the basis of caste, color, creed, race, religion, all of those things. So this is one of the few movies which depicts this divide really well, so you guys should watch it. If you have time, you can write reviews on it as well, what you understand, what you don't understand, because that's a fun exercise to do as well. So this is the second movie that I wanted to suggest. The third movie that I'm going to suggest is called 12 Years a Slave, and this has been directed by Steve McQueen. Again, this is a movie I watched when I was very young. Of course, when I was that young, I was in 6th or 7th standard. I did not know, exactly how deep this movie went, but it had a lot of, it's very nicely depicting something which is called racism. So this is basically division on the basis of color that humans face, discrimination that, black minorities face, and it's about white supremacy and how that was implemented, in a long time back, and how basically this white supremacy operated in a manner that third world countries were always third world, and they could never have the resources, they could never have the freedom, they could never have the luxuries that the first world countries did. And the first world countries were essentially just taking from these third world countries. And yeah, so it's based on that. It's a very nice movie. In fact, you would see that by the end of the movie, you would see the kind of discrimination that certain communities went through, and you would feel very emotionally drained as well, because it's very sad how these divisions operate in a society even today. So if you want to do an assignment, you can do, and you can talk about how this discrimination still exists in society today. It gets carried on. So yeah, so this was the third movie that I wanted to recommend. It's, once again, I'll let you know, it's called 12 Years a Slave. It's a very good movie. You guys should watch it if you get time, and you can write down assignments. I think your professors would be pretty impressed. If you want to explain, Theory of Alienation by Karl Marx, you can go there and just talk about Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin, and I'm pretty sure your professor would be very impressed. If you want to talk about class discrimination and greed, you can go out there and make an assignment on Parasite, and your professors would be very impressed, because it's a very nice way of explaining a concept which is slightly complex, which is slightly tricky, which delves into the human psyche, which talks about divisions that are present in our society historically, and divisions that have been present on the basis of caste, class, color, creed, so on and so forth. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening, for joining, and I hope this session was useful. And I have a small announcement for you all. That announcement is basically that I'll be having a workshop, guys, from November 14th to November 15th to November 18th, and in that workshop I'll be discussing with you all how to clear UGC NET political science. So I have received a lot of queries from a lot of students, and a lot of students couldn't afford the fees for a one-on-one session. So I decided that we can have something in which all the students who are serious are going to come, and you guys can just enroll. You can email me at swastikasharma@gmail.com. There is a small fee of $500. Please keep in mind that I wanted to not keep a fee and not keep a price for the counseling, but I've had to do that because a lot of the times the students who come, right, they're not very serious, so they just end up disturbing the decorum of the class. And if you're paying money for something, you tend to be a little more serious, and you tend to, be on time and be punctual and do all of those things. So there's a small fee that you'll have to pay upfront before the workshop begins. That's 500 rupees INR. So if you guys are interested, please email me at swastikasharma@gmail.com. I'm looking forward to hearing from a lot of you, and we'll be discussing a lot of stuff, guys. The 4 classes are going to be there, 4 sessions. In the first session, I'm going to talk about an introduction. I'm going to talk about how what are all the things that you need to keep in mind before you giving this paper. I'm going to talk a lot about what are the different papers, paper 1, paper 2, what is the generic strategy, what are the questions. In the second class, which I'm going to talk about, is going to be the strategy you have to adopt for paper 1. What is the strategy I adopted, what is the strategy that a lot of my friends who cleared the paper adopted, and how we can tailor make the strategy for you. So we are going to be discussing paper 1. We are going to be discussing important topics, important questions, repetitive questions, everything that you guys basically need to know to clear the first paper. Then we are going to do paper number 2, which is also very important. Please don't underestimate. Please don't think मैंने masters करा है तो मेरा ये paper खुद ही clear हो जाएगा, because sometimes the difference between the person who gets through and who doesn't is basically also just some 5 marks extra in paper 2. So guys, we'll be focusing extensively on this paper. I'll be giving you a book list, I'll be giving you an author list, I'll be telling you the strategy you need to use, I'll be telling you how much time to spend on each question, I'll be telling you how to practice your marks, how to increase your speed, how to do at least 2 revisions of the paper. All of that is going to be there in the 3rd class. The 4th class is going to be an open session in which I'm going to be listening to you guys. So in the first 3 classes, I'll be speaking, and in the last class of the workshop, you guys will be speaking, you'll be asking me questions, you'll be asking me doubts. It's going to be an open house, there's going to be chaos, and there's going to be energy in that room. So please email me at swastikasharmawork@gmail.com. You can message me on Instagram as well, but please guys, if you're not willing to pay the very nominal charge, then please don't message me, because it becomes very difficult for me to segregate between serious students and non-serious students. And even right now, we have a limited seat, we have a limited capacity of the intake. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a nice day. I hope my videos were useful, and thank you once again for being a part of the show.